The captains of surviving ships took sail, their flight both hurried and disorderly. Their crews began to perish in Boeotia, some mad with thirst, in sight of gleaming wells, others gasping but not getting breath. We pressed on to the country of the Phocians and Doric land, the gulf called Malian, where waters of the Spercheius brought relief. Next, the Achaean plain received our troops, the towns of Thessaly, but these had little for us to eat. Hunger and thirst they offered, and these killed many of us. We arrived in Macedonian land and in Magnesia, the place where river Axis is forded, the reedy swamp of Bulb, Mount Pagaeus, and the land of the Edonis. This was the night the god blew in an early blast of cold and froze the holy Strymon. Even those who never revered the gods now offered prayers, falling on their knees before earth and sky. After the army showed its piety, we started to cross the icebound waterway. Whoever set out before the rays of the god began to spread came safe to the other side. For the eye of the sun, ablaze with burning beams, warmed and dissolved the center of the pathway. They tumbled on one another, and happiest then was he who swiftest lost the breath of life. Those who survived and made their way to safety struggled through Thrace. Their progress slowed and labored, and now they're here. A few, not many, have reached their homes and hearths, the land of Persia that now can groan for its lost flower of youth. All that you've heard is true. Much else I've left unsaid. The woes God hurled upon the Persians. God who brings pains, too heavily you jumped with trampling feet on all the Persian race. Woe upon me, woe for the shattered army. You, dream that brought me visions in the night, you showed me clearly all the ills in store, while you interpreted too emptily. But nonetheless I'll follow your advice, and first beseech the gods with suppliant prayers, and next I'll bring gift offerings for the dead and for the earth, a meal cake from my larder. These cannot alter what's already happened, but maybe something better yet may come. As for you, in light of our misfortunes, you must pull all your trusty plans together, and if my son should reach this spot before me, give comfort to him, take him to my house, lest he contrive more woe on top of woes. Zeus, our king, you have destroyed the proud and teeming army of the Persians. You have plunged our cities in dark grief, Susa and Ecbatana, many the women who've torn their veils with tender hands, while soaking the folds of their robes with tears, sharing a common pain. Persian brides, tender in mourning, long to see their new married men. They've lost their soft-fleeced nights in the bed, the joy of their flourishing youth, and they grieve with insatiable wailing, and I the fate of those who are gone. Now the whole land of Asia groans, its populace emptied. Xerxes led them, popoi. Xerxes read them, totoi. Xerxes handled it all foolishly with his sea-going ships. How is it Darius did so little harm when he ruled the city as Bo Lord, the dear overseer of Susa? Land and sea forces together sailed in the dark-eyed and flaxen-winged warships that brought them there, popoi. Warships that racked them there, totoi. Warships with doom-bringing ramming steered by Ionian hands. Even the king, we hear, barely escaped by way of the plains of Thrace, the roadways that bear hard winters, seized by necessity of being the first to die. Along the Cyphraean shores, groan and weep, cry out for the woes that come from the sky. Strain the voice of mourning with clamorous calls. Racked by the terrible ocean, they're mangled by the mute offspring, of the great undefiled place, the sea, The houses bereft mourn their masters, the parents now childless, lamenting for woes from the gods, hear the whole tale of pain and grow old. Those living in Asia long since are no longer Persian controlled, and don't any longer pay tribute to lordly necessities, nor do they fall to the ground in dread of their rulers, for the power of our king has been broken. Nor are men's tongues any longer bound fast in fetters. The people are free to speak as they wish. Since the yoke of strength has been parted, the Isle of Ajax, its fields now bloodied and beaten by waves, holds Persia's might in its grasp. All those who have known ills will understand how when a wave of troubles breaks upon us, we tend to look on everything with fear, but when the gods show favor, we believe the same fair wind of luck will always blow. Just so for me, there's terror everywhere. The gods' gifts have been utterly reversed. The roaring in my ears is not a war cry, so sharp a blow of evil smites my wits. Thus have I left my finery behind and made this journey without chariot, bringing libations to pour for my son's father, offerings that propitiate the dead. First sweet white milk that came from a pure cow, then shining honey, the flower reaper's drops. Next, draughts of water from a virgin stream, an unmixed liquid, born from a wild mother, the shining gladness of the ancient grapevine, and from a tree that always stays in leaf, the harvest of the fragrant yellow olive, then woven flowers, the sons of fertile earth. My friends, with these libations to the dead, sing hymns of reverence, call forth the god, Darius, while ascend these earth-drunk honors as offerings to please the gods below. Royal wife whom the Persians honor, pour your offerings down to the halls of the earth, while we with our songs shall request those who escort the dead to be gracious under the ground. You, sacred divinities of the world below, Earth and Hermes, and you, Lord of the underworld, send up a spirit into the daylight. For if he knows any cure for our troubles, he alone among mortals could tell us their end. Does he hear, our blessed King, now like a god? Does he hear me sending forth my many doleful sad cries in their clear Asian tones? I shall cry out aloud our all wretched woes. Does he hear me from under the ground? You, holy earth, and other lords of the buried, allow him out of your dwelling. That high boasting spirit, the Susa-born god of the Persians, send him up from below. A man such as never Persian soul ever covered. Beloved is the man, beloved his tomb, for the heart that it hides is beloved. Lord Hades, I beg, send him up and release him, our king, the godlike Darius. Never did he incur losses of men with war-ravaged follies. Godlike in council the Persians called him, for godlike he was, a sure hand at the helm of the army. Great Shah who once was come forth, arise from the peak of your funeral mount, step forward on saffron-slippered foot, revealing the peak of your royal tiara. Blameless father, Darius, come, oi. Master of masters appear, that you may hear of new woes, shared by all, for a gloom from the Styx has descended. Our young men are destroyed, a whole generation. Blameless father, Darius, come, oi, aye. You whose death brought grief to your friends. The ships with their triple oar banks are destroyed. Ships no longer. Companions of my youth, most trusted counselors, you aged Persians, what does my city suffer? It groans and beats its breast. Its soul is trampled, seeing my wife draw near my tomb unfrightened. Yet graciously I take her offerings. And you who stand beside my tomb, you chant your spirit-drawing spells in high, clear voices, wretchedly summoning me. But my arrival has not been easy. The gods below the earth are better at seizing than at letting go. Yet I, a king among them, have prevailed. Be quick, lest I be blamed for tardiness. What new and weighty evil ails the Persians? I dread to look on you. I dread to speak face to face, stirred by my old fear of you. I've come from down below, obedient to your chants. Don't drag things out at length, but keep to the essentials and tell me everything. Forget your dread of me. I fear to indulge what you ask. I fear to speak to your face. Works hard for a friend to pronounce. I see that ancient fear has blocked your wits. And so, my noble wife, the aged sharer of my bedroom, leaves off your wails and groans. Say clearly what has happened. It's clear that ills are mankind's lot. They fall upon us all. Some come from the sea to trouble us, while others arrive by land, if life goes on and waxes long. Most fortunate of mortals with your lucky destiny, you were much envied while you lived and saw the sun's light, bringing a happy lifetime for the Persians as a god does. I envy you also now, dead before this abyss of evils. I'll tell you the whole story in a brief space of time. Persia might has been annihilated, or nearly so. But how? Some blast of plague attacked the city, or civil war. Neither, but near Athens our entire army perished. Which one of our children led an expedition there? Impetuous Xerxes, he emptied out the continent to do it. Was it by land or sea he undertook this reckless folly? By both, he used two forces, making a double assault. But how did so great an army cross the straits on foot? He used contrivances to bridge the Hellespont, and with that effort he sealed off great Bosporus. Just so. Surely some god had got hold of its wits. A mighty god indeed, to judge by the delusion. True, we can see at last the evil he's accomplished. What fate was theirs, those for whom you're groaning so? The navy came to grief, and that destroyed the army. And so the entire host has been laid low by enemy spears? Indeed, the Susan city now bewails its lack of men. Oh, Popoi! Not the army, our steadfast aid, our succor. And all the Bactrians, too, are gone. Oh, wretched son! The host of allied youth he has destroyed. They say that he alone, Xerxes, and only a few others. How and where did he end up? Did he find safety somewhere? Arrived in joy at the bridge, the one yoke of the two lands. So he's come safely back to Asia land. Is that so? Yes, this is a story that prevails, no conflict. Cry woe, the oracles came swiftly to completion. Zeus hurled their grim fulfillment on my son. I must have thought the gods would bring them to pass a long, long time from now. But a man who strives in haste is the god too, hastening him on. A font of evils, it seems, has been unveiled for our allies. My son in ignorance with youthful zeal has done this. He hoped to hold the holy Hellespont in fetters as though enslaving it, Bosporus, stream of the god, and tried to rearrange the straits. With chains that hammers forged, he compassed it and made a great path for a great host, wrongly believing, though mortal, he could control the gods, even Poseidon. What else but a disease of mind was this that took hold of my son? And now I fear the wealth I labored for will only be the first invader's spoils. Reckless Xerxes, but his bad companions taught him this. They kept on telling him that you attained great riches at spear point for your children, while he's been playing the coward, campaigning close to home, not adding to his father's wealth. Again and again he heard such taunts from evil counselors, and so he planned this journey and this great attack on Greece. That's why this deed of his is catastrophic, always to be remembered. Never has such a deed emptied the city, Susa, of its manpower, not since the time King Zeus established this. One man should rule all Asia, rich in flocks, and wield a scepter that brings order to it. Medas was the first leader of our host, and then another, his son, took up the task. Third of this line was Cyrus, a lucky man, who came to power and brought our allies peace, for wisdom was a steersman of his passions. He conquered the Lydians and the Phrygians, and harried all Ionia with his power. He felt no hate from God, for he had sense. The son of Cyrus was our host's fourth leader, next to Mardus, fifth in line, who brought great shame to country and to throne. Artaphernes conspired to kill this man along with friends, the men who knew their duty, and I among them. Then received by lot the role I wanted. I campaigned many times with many soldiers, yet never brought such woe upon my country. Xerxes, my son, is young. His thoughts are young. He does not keep in mind what I enjoyed. I here proclaim to you, aged companions, that all of us who held this role before him have not together caused his sum of sorrows. Then what comes next, my king, or toward what end do you conduct the speech? How, from here on, shall we, the Persian people, do what's best? Don't make campaigns against the home of Greeks, not even with the great Persian host, their very land's their ally and defender. What do you mean? How does their land defend them? It kills with hunger those who are too many, but will equip a fleet with much provision, but even the force that tarries now in Hellas will never find the safety of homecoming. What's this, you say? The entire Persian army will not recross the straits, depart from Europe. Few will cross of many, if one trusts the oracles of the gods, and judges how some have come true already, the rest must follow. If it be so, then he believes false hopes and leaves behind a corps of chosen soldiers. They camp beside the plain Asopus waters, the river that gives sweet drink to the Boeotians. The pitch of suffering awaits them there, a scourge to punish their ungodly thinking. For those who went to Greece were not ashamed to rob the shrines of the gods and burn their temples. Altars have been destroyed, and sacred buildings have been wretched up and toppled from their bases. And so the doers of wrong shall suffer wrongs no less than they inflict. More are to come. The bricks that build our doom are still being laid. Plataea's land will see a blood-soaked slush of clotted gore caused by a Dorian spear. The heaps of corpses there will wordless show to eyes of men. for 2 more generations, that mortals must not cast their thoughts too high, for pride will flower and bear the fruit of folly, from which one reaps a much bemoaned harvest. Look on the punishments you see before you. Remember Athens, remember Greece. Let no one allow his thoughts to pass his present fortune, or lusting for others' wealth. Let slip his own. For Zeus, the grim chastiser, will be at hand, will recompense for over boastful minds. Tell him all this. With soothing words unbraid him, make him stop offending God with his too boastful daring. And as for you, dear, aged mother of Xerxes, go fetch from home the trappings fit for kingship and bring them to your son. For rags surround him, the tattered remnants of his splendid robes, all torn to shreds in grief at his misfortunes. Give comfort to him with your gentle words. Yours is the only voice that can uplift him. I go now, down below the gloomy darkness. Farewell, you elders, even amid your woes. Your spirits must take delight in daily joys, for wealth is useless down among the dead. I grieve to hear the Persians' many woes, those happening now and those that are still coming. O spirit, so many painful woes beset me, but most of all, it's this mischance that stings. Your tale of the disgrace to my son's clothing, disgrace that he's now wrapped in. I'm going. I'll fetch fine raiments from the palace halls and try to meet my son as he comes homeward. Amid these woes, I won't desert what's dearest. O Popoi, great and good was the life we had, a life under rules of the city, back when the aged, blameless, all-providing, unconquerable king, Darius, the equal of God, ruled the land. First we can cite the glorious deeds of our army. Homeward journeys from war, unwearied, unhurt, brought men back to prosperous houses. How many of the cities he captured without crossing the river Halys, nor leaving behind his own hearth? Among them the cities of Achilles, by the marsh of the Strymon, the country houses of the Thracians, and the cities with towering walls on the mainland outside the lake, obeyed this great king. Those scattered around the broad ford of hell, the embayed Propontis and the mouth of the Pontus, then the islands beside the sea's headland, girt round by the waves, neighbors to our continent, like Lesbos, Samos, with its olive groves, and Chios and Paros, Naxos, Mykonos, and Andros, which borders closely on Tenos. And he ruled the islands between the two shores, Lemnos and the place where Icarus dwelt, and Rhodes and Cnidos, and the Cyprian cities of Paphos and Soli and Salamis, whose mother city gave cause for all of our groanings. And the flourishing populous cities and lands the Ionians got, the cities of Greeks he controlled by the strength of his mind. At his beck he had tireless strength of his warrior corps, and of all varied allies. But now, without doubt, we have had all this turned upside down by the god. We are greatly brought low by the blows that came from the sea. Io, wretched me, hateful fate, impossible to foretell how cruelly the god set his foot on the Persian race. What now lies ahead? What must I suffer? My knees gave way as I behold this crowd of elder citizens. Zeus, if only the fate of death had hidden me beneath the earth, along with those that are gone. Ototoi, O king, our noble army, the honor of our Persian rule, the men in their glory, whom the god has cut down. The land itself laments the dead, its native youth, whom Xerxes killed, and thus stuffed Hades with corpses. Many are the men who have died, a numberless multitude, the flower of youth, the wielders of bows. Ai, our sure defense, all Asia, O king who rules this land, has gone down hard upon its knees. Oi, I'm here, fit for weeping, a woe and bane, that's what I am, to family and to fatherland. I'll send a tearful cry to salute your return home, an ill-omened wail that tends to woes like that of Mirandian mourners. Send out your all-lamenting voice, long-lingering, harsh, for the god in turn has reversed course against me. I shall, of the city's mourner, I'll sound again my tearful keen. An Ionian has robbed us, Ionian Ares, ship-girt, battle-turning, sweeping clear the gloomy plain and the hard-fated shore. Oi, chant and learn the whole truth. Where have they gone, your cohort of allies? Where are those who stood beside you? Those like Pherendaces, Susus, Palagon, Datamas, Sames, and Susiscanes, who left Ecbatana behind. I left them perishing, tumbling from a Tyrian ship on the bluffs of Salamis, dashed against those cruel bluffs. Oi. Where is Pharnacus? Where, or noble Areomardus? Where is Lord Sualces, or highborn Lilius, Memphis, Therubis, Masistras, Artambares, and Hystaicmus? We ask you again to tell us. Io moi. They got a glimpse of Athens like ancient hateful city. Then with one oar sweep they all were gasping for life on the beach. Then you left behind even the flower of the Persians, your all trusted men, your eye, who numbers this army in thousands, Alpistus, Batanucus' son. You left Sesames, son of Bagabates, and Parthus and Oebaris the great. O woe for our troubles, you tell of evils surpassing evils for noble Persians. You stir up a longing in me for those brave comrades I lost when you tell of these hateful, unending woes. My heart cries out from inside my body. Yes, and there's others we yearn for. The marshal of 10,000 Mardians, Xanthus, and Ancares of Aria, Diaxes and also Arsaces, the masters of horses, and Hegdatatas, and Lithymenus, and Ptolemus, insatiable spearmen. I'm amazed that they follow not behind the tented royal cart. They're gone, those who were the army's chiefs, gone and nameless now. Io, you gods, now you've beset us with evil, unlooked for yet plain to see, the gaze of Ate. We are battered, yes, we are battered, that's clear, by a fresh pain. Not lucky was their encounter with seafarers of the Greeks. Hard is the fate of the Persian race in war. That's so. I've been struck a blow in my vast army, what's left unruined of Persian like deluded man. You see the sad remainder of my finery. I see, and this the arrow holding. What's this? You say something was saved. Storehouse of darts. Little enough out of much. We had too few aids to fall back on. The Greek race is not frightened by the spear. Yes, too brave. I've seen a grief unlooked for. You mean the rout of our host hedged round by ships. I tore my rope at the woe that came upon us. Papai. Yes, and more than just that, papai. Twice and 3 times as much. Pains but our enemies' joys. Our might has been brought down. I'm stripped of my royal train by the seaborne ruin of our allies. Let tears flow over the pain, set out for the palace. Aye, the pain. Shout and beat in response to me. An evil gift of evils, return for evils. Wail the song along with me. Otototoi. Weighty comes this disaster. Oi, this too I much grief for. Ply your grief like oars, your groans bring relief. I am drenched in tears of lament. Shout and beat in response to me. This is our task, my sovereign. Raise up your voices in wails. Ototototoi. And amid my wails will be mingled, oi, the black blow of mourning. Beat your breasts and cry out the Mysian song. Agony. Pull the gray hair of your beard, rip it out, in handfuls with sorrowful cry. Give a shrill wail, I'll do this as well. Rend your gathered rope with the tips of your fingers. Agony. Plug out your hair as you lament for the army, in handfuls with sorrowful cry. Let your eyes flow with tears, I'm weeping indeed. Shout and beat in response to me. Oi. Mourn and move on to the palace. Io. That's the cry throughout the city. Yes, that's the cry. Step softly as you lament. Io on the hard Persian soil. Destroyed. By triple-oared ships. With shrill laments we shall escort you home.